Welcome to the show. Let me cut this down. Welcome to Creative Emotions. I am your host, Vaquita Q. Taylor. Welcome. If this is your first time joining, make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you hit like. I want you to hear something. If you hear something you like, make sure you hit that like button as well. When you come on this show, you will get motivation, information, encouragement, inspiration, transparency, empowerment, and you're going to get these good vibes. I mean, you just don't know what's going to come, but that's what you can expect. So again, I thank everyone for their support. People that look forward to the podcast, people that give me feedback from the podcast. That means a lot to know that my service, because that's what it is. This is a service that I provide. It's helping, or, it's being looked at or sought after, because I feel like my life is here for service. Like I have made peace with that, which means I can still have a good time. I can still be myself, and I can serve God's people as unto myself. So that's where I am with that. That's exactly where I am. I thought I cut this down. Well, okay. But that's where I am with that. Again, I want to welcome everybody to the show. Let you know every Wednesday at 6 o'clock is Creative Emotions Podcast. And we have every third Wednesday, Men's Edition. And so next week, the men are going to be talking about grief and how men deal with grief. And so that's very important. We have to be able to support our men. We have to be able to understand them. Everybody grieve different. Everything is different for everybody. People may lose their parents or their children, and they be on Facebook. Like some people like, I don't see how, or I don't know what I would do, or whatever. You don't know, so I don't even ask. I don't want to know, but everybody is different. So the men next week are going to be talking about tackling grief and how that is for the man. And so I want you guys to make sure that you tune in. Guess what? I'm going to talk about my book, right? My book is still available. I'll be going on a book tour next month. I'll be keeping you guys open with shirts and merch that I'll have and different things that I'll have. So I Want My Own Husband, Mindset and Standards on Marriage. It is $15, and you can purchase it on www.thecreativeemotions.com. It is still available, and I have sold these. Even when I was in Greece, I sold some books. So I was just really excited about that. Like I could say like my book's over in Greece, so it's just exciting. Anytime you finish anything and it's an accomplishment, you should feel good about it. I don't care how small it is. You should feel good about it. So if you're just joining me, today's show is about storytelling. And so you think about storytelling, you probably think about lying, but that's not what I'm talking about. Or if you notice, everybody on social media is storytelling. So this will happen, and then this, and then that, and they breaking their videos down, and it's real short for different attention spans, but everybody's storytelling. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about today is, what story are you telling about yourself? And so I want you to really, look at that. When you talk about yourself, what are you saying? What are you saying? And I drive this home in every show because it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for those that are on their journey, that have been through certain things, and they see certain things beyond the veil. And now they're like, wait a minute, something is going on. Yeah, you're waking up. That's what's going on. So that's who this is for. People that are waking up to find out themselves. Again, when you think about storytelling, how far do you go back? When I think about when I told stories, I would go back to hurt, and I would tell those stories just off the whim. Like it wasn't even asked for sometimes, or it was at a time where, I think everybody do it. Somebody telling a story and you got to one up them, and you like, what? You burnt your leg? Well, my leg almost fell off. Like everybody want to one up a story. You like, wait a minute. Like, I'm telling my story. or people like, yeah, I went out of town. And you like, shoot, I went twice. But then I noticed that. I was like, I don't like that. So now I just let people tell their story. I got a story too, but unless you ask me, I'm going to listen. But I had to learn that though. That's not I mean, that's just a natural reaction for people to be like, oh yeah, I can identify with that. But not every time should we be spewing everything when a person is having their moment. And so when you think about telling your story, how far do you go back? And I had to think about that in my previous relationships, how far I actually went back. And I would tell this stuff and I'm like, why? Like, it's in my past. It helped me to be who I am today. And it doesn't deserve my energy, especially when you're telling a story and you have the same energy that it brought to you and you get mad all over again. So are you healed from it? Is it really in the past? And so then you get to second guessing yourself, questioning yourself. So you got to be careful about what story you're telling. If you're just joining, I'm talking about storytelling. Are you the victim in the story or are you the overcomer? And so when you tell these stories, is it like, oh man, they use me, they abuse me, and all your stories is just horror? Like, at what point are you going to say, yeah, that was my story and I don't have to go into it, but this is where I am now? And so that's something that we have to do on purpose, because people will, drag you down that lane just to have something to do, just to be talking. And then you find yourself talking about stuff that happened to you when you was a kid. It's like, no, what are we doing? What are we doing with our energy? What are we doing with our time? What story are you telling? Are you still identifying with the hurt, with the past, with anything that affected you? You feel like it affected you, because I feel like everything that happens to us is for us and it makes us better. Even if it's bad, it still comes back around and it has a purpose. And when you understand that, you look at things totally different. So again, this may be for people that are on their journey and they see things for really, really what they are. So how do you feel about yourself most days? That's important, because you can't make up nothing. I mean, you can, but then you'll be living a lie. You'll be living a life that's not conducive to the life that you may want. And so how do you feel about yourself most days? I think now is the time to just be real with yourself. Be real. Like, nobody, you don't even have to tell anybody. Just be real with yourself first. Don't make nothing up in your head. I know all of this stuff about manifesting is all over the place, but honey, it has to line up. It has to start mentally. It has to line up. You can say all day, I want this, I want that, I want that. But if you don't even believe that you can have it, then that's kind of null and void. If you don't believe that you deserve it, then it's null and void. And so I'm here to just remind you and to ask you about the stories that you are telling. What are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about your life? That's important. And so this is a live show. You can call in at 313-266-2811. I'm talking about storytelling. And if you know that you used to tell those stories and you found out they're not conducive to where you're trying to go or your growth, then you stopped, then I want you to call in and tell us about that story, because that's really what it's about. But when you think about your story, who are you? Like, I really had to ask myself that, like, who am I? I know what people say. I know how people feel. I know when people say, oh, that, that blessed me, or you this or that or whatever. But how do you feel about yourself? Because that matters. And what people say, it shouldn't really puff you up. And that's why people say, oh, I don't want to give you no compliment because I don't want your head to get big. And I'm not saying it's no type of way, but I know who I am. I know what I bring. I know that I shift environments. So when you tell me something, it's confirmation from what I already know. I wouldn't get like, oh, yes, I know. Like, no. So when you know who you are, those are just compliments at that point. And it's okay. Don't ever not give a compliment because you worried about how somebody gonna take it, because everybody's on different levels, really. And that's a real thing. So where have you struggled? And so when you think about all these things, you like, okay, yep, I see where I struggled. This is just to identify it. This is not to continue to make it a part of your story. We are talking about storytelling, and what are you saying about yourself? These small words that people use daily, don't even understand they are shaping your reality. When people say, oh, I'm so broke, I can't pay attention. Oh, okay. That's how you feel? Because, no, I'm not playing them type of radio games. I used to. And I was wondering why it felt like I had holes in my pockets. Because I kept saying, I'm broke. My mentality was broke. It's a mentality. It's not about what you have in your pocket, because money is a resource. It's to be used. It's a current. It's currency. So it's going to flow. And if you have your hands open, you know what you giving it something to do. It has to come. And it has to flow as long as you keep giving and receiving. That's just how it flows. But it's the mentality that stifles us, and they keep people in this broke mindset, keep doing the same things over and over and over. So have you identified where you struggle? If you did, you don't have to bring it up over and over and over and over. You can identify it and you learn from it and you move forward. That's what helps us. What are you passionate about? Yeah. What are you passionate about? Can you think about something that you can do without even getting paid for it? That just may be your purpose. That just may be the reason why it's on your heart to do. It's some things that only you can do. And so, God is waiting for us to just tap in and turn on, because it's really that simple. Tap in and turn on. Seriously. In what areas have you gained expertise? And so I know me and Fred always say we life certified, right? Like, no, I'm not a therapist. No, I didn't go to 15 years of school, whatever. I do have my degree and I am a certified life coach. But when we talk about certain things, it's because we went through it. The experience make you certified. So when you go through certain things, you're able to encourage people in that. And so just be mindful in what areas you've gained your expertise, because that's important. What is your worldview? What do you believe around you? Like, what is your worldview? You need to know that. That will change your storytelling. That will change how you talk about yourself. That will change how you talk about things around you when you think about that. To whom do you owe gratitude? When you think about different people that come in your life, I know that some people didn't have a mother or they didn't have a father, but it was always somebody in their life that filled that void, whether it was the man down the street, it was the mother next door, the grandmother that took you in with her grandkids or whatever. It was always a sufficient amount of what you needed around you to where you can identify with it. And if you really look at that, you think about, who do you owe gratitude to? Who was it that you said, you know what? They really helped me. You know what? They really took me in. Like they used to feed me. And so when you think about that, that brings good feelings. Like when you think about telling your story over and over and people identifying with the worst stories. I'm not. I just be like, oh, okay. I used to. Oh man, I used to have a story. You talk about a man? I used to have a story. Like, girl, I know that's right. No. Because just think about, what is it helping? I believe in word curses, right? When you say, I wish you the best, and you mean that with your heart, that's a prayer. That's what I think. That's how I feel, right? When you say, ain't nothing you do is gonna prosper or whatever, like, that's a word curse. You can send these words without even being in a person's presence. And so that's when I became conscious of the conversations I have when I'm talking about somebody else, because my words are powerful and word curses are real. When I see somebody that's acting away or feeling away or anything, I know that I have the power right then and there to send that person love and light immediately. That's what I do. They can be acting funky, attitude, driving crazy, whatever. I send them love and light, because whatever they're going through ain't got nothing to do with me. So when you have that attitude, when you dealing with other people, which goes into my next point, how you relate to others, when you start looking at people like, dang, that's messed up, but it don't have nothing to do with me, then you'll be able to operate in a different space of love. That's what we're supposed to operate from, love, not judgment, not, letting them know all of their character flaws and all that kind of stuff. For what? Everybody is in different places on their journey. So that's how I freed myself. I stopped worrying about what people thought about me, because that's their opinion. And I stopped correcting people, because that's where they are mentally and on their journey. Now, if you ask me, if you come into my space, then I'm going to pour out. But I just thought about this. It's a lot of time that we waste trying to change people or change their mindset or change how they think about things and look at things or whatever. You can show people how to treat you. And it's by your absence or your presence. So if you're present, that means what they doing, you don't mind. With your absence, you're letting them know, yeah, no, we ain't doing that. I don't like that. And that's the control that we have. So how are you relating to other people? These are just some questions to ask yourself. What are your failures? Ask yourself these questions. When I'm talking about telling your story and what that looks like, what are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about your life? Are you putting your mouth on your life and you don't like the results? This is just taking inventory. So I want you to think about that. Do you repeat or rehearse them? Again, you want to talk about, I know some people make their living off of their hurt, right? People that have been abused, people that have been, abused. I'm going to say abused because that's a lot of different categories, been through something, and they go from city to city to city telling this story over and over and over and over. And although it may help some people, but that's their job, right? But I'm talking about in everyday life. What are you saying about yourself and how are you telling your story? Because it's important. There is transformation that happens when you think about telling your story. You have the power now to change the narrative. And so this is what I want to, leave you with. I'm not going to be before you long. But no matter how you were raised, no matter who hurt you, no matter who you lost, how you move from here, moving forward, will determine how you tell your story. And so I noticed when I stopped speaking negatively about my life changed dramatically. When I stopped making myself a victim, my life changed dramatically. When I watched the words that I said about myself and even other people around me, like my children, I used to, say all the time, my son, you bad, just, you're always doing something. And he was always doing something. Until I started to speak life intentionally, look him in his eye and tell him who he is and, who he's going to be. Then he stood up a little bit. He squared his shoulders a little bit. Instead of me talking about what was happening at that moment, I talked about what I see in him and what I want to see in his life. And it changed the way he looked at himself. And so we even got to think about that. What story are we telling about our children? Because I see people talk about their children and they sitting right next to them. Or they in the other room and they hear this type of stuff. And so you got to be careful that you're not creating the life for your child by negatively speaking over your child constantly. You this, you that, you always that, you're bad, you this, you that, you this, you that. You got to think about that. What is it that you see your child doing? What is it that you want to see them doing? What can you see them doing? Because we have that insight on their life. We don't own them. We're just here to guide them and to show them and to love them. And so that they can be decent human beings. If you see these children now, it's like, God, help us. So don't discard that, because I know we can get caught up in our own life, but don't discard what you created. Speak life to those children around you. Speak life to everyone around you in your space. If that's what you want to see, you got to speak it. And so you got to know your power. So these are questions that I want you to ask yourself right now. Are things failing around you? Are things not flourishing around you? Because things should be growing, right? That's just like you plant some flowers and, you got a few of them that's just dying. You're like, what am I doing wrong? And so look at your life like that, because we plant seeds constantly. We plant seeds with what we do. The things that we do, we plant seeds with our words. We plant seeds with our thoughts. And so if things are not flourishing, I want you to do that inventory and say, hey, what have I been planting around here? So are you not obtaining goals? Just think about this. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up. What story are you telling? I know some people like, oh, stuff just never work out for me, or it's always like this, or it's always like that. Again, this message is if you are in a special place in your journey where you are literally seeing beyond the veil, you are seeing things for what they are, and you are noticing that something is different about you. What's different about you is that you have to tap in and you need to turn on, because we all have a power within us that we have to tap into. It's not outside of us. We've been taught, God is here. No, God is here. God is right here. God is right here in each and every one of us. And so once you tap into that, ain't no telling what's going to happen in your life. I'm telling you, it's going to be all good things. And I could put money on it. I'm just saying. But you have no bigger cheerleader than yourself. And this is what I want you to understand. That talk in the mirror, that talk to yourself when you in the car, that's real talk. Like, you got to think about that. A lot of times we are taught to seek validation and approval that we're doing good. You looking for everybody to tell you, like, I'm doing good outside of yourself. Yeah, go tell his big old mouth before I tell him. But a lot of times we are taught to seek validation. Again, you need to think about that. But I learned a quick lesson. I was my own worst enemy. And so I had to be mindful of that. Like, what am I saying about me? What am I doing? I want a whole totally different lifestyle, but what am I doing? I took that inventory on myself. So I questioned things that took me on a whirlwind of doubt. I was doubting, but I knew, because God would send me people all the time to tell me who I was. But I had to find out. Like, I had to wake up. I had to see it. But everybody was telling me, and I'm just like, why my life look like this, And it was just like, yeah, okay. But it was like, what am I doing? And I kept getting signs and miracles and wonders and different things coming before me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I did wake up, it was progressive. It was like another level. My eyes opened up more. My mind opened up more. My heart opened up more. It was just more. It's an evolving thing. It's not like we're going to arrive at this place and then you don't have to do anything else. No, you're going to constantly have to evolve, to go with the flow of things that's happening in your life. The path of least resistance. Things should not be like crazy all the time. Like, you should have peace in your life. And I pray and hope that everybody who eyes lay on this, that peace is your portion. I do. I send that to you. But I had to think about, I gave people too much power over my decision making at some point, even as an adult. When it comes to religion, right? Once you give over your will, you put it in somebody else's hands. When you think about the Kool-Aid, what was his name when they drank the Kool-Aid?
The Kool-Aid man?
Yeah. What's his name? No, not the actual Kool-Aid man, but the man, the religious guy who made everybody drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh, the Jamestown thing.
Yes. When he flew, everybody thinking it was this beautiful life and all that. And then said, look, y'all leaving with me. And literally over 1,000 women and children drunk the Kool-Aid because they didn't have their own mind, because they didn't know who they were. They didn't know that they had this power. They didn't know they had given over their will. It is nobody, no idol worshiping, no man worshiping should be taking place. Only God worshiping. And God said, we are made in his image. So he's literally with us all. And so I just want you to be encouraged in that no matter what it is you believe, you have to understand there is something greater that is around us, it's in us, it's everywhere, all at the same time. It's all about where your mind is. And so this only happens when you don't understand, again, who you are and whose you are. God lives inside. There is a kingdom inside, and we are gatekeepers. According to www.chalice.com, the role in the Bible was described as the gatekeepers were assigned to entrances to the temple, and their task was simple. They had to keep out whoever and whatever was unclean. And so when you think about negative thoughts, when you think about the first thing that come to your mind is totally against who you are, or you think about, doing something bad, or that first thought, when you know that ain't right, that means you the gatekeeper over your mindset. And your mind is the most powerful thing that changes everything. Once you make up in your mind, this is the type of life that I'm going to live, nobody can change that. So I want you to be mindful of that. We are gatekeepers of our minds. So think about that when it pertains to our mind and what we allow in or out, what we believe, and what we take on as truth, etc. So stop limiting yourself with the stories of what you are not. Stay out of the past. If you have dealt with the past, you have overcome the past, stay out of there. Close the door. Thank God for the experience and keep it moving. Find your hope. What are you hopeful for? What is your hope? And so I want you to just think about that. Stop giving so much energy to what it is you don't want to see. I know I did that with my children, and this is a transparent moment. One thing I said was, I want my children to have a really good relationship with their father, because it was a point in my life when I was younger, my relationship wasn't so good, with mine. And so I was like, I want this. Even so much so, I created a life in my mind and in my reality, thinking it was good, but I literally forced it to make it not look like what I didn't want, which turned out to be what I didn't want anyway. So you see how much energy I put into that? I put all of this energy into creating something to not get this, only for me to get what I didn't want. And I'm sitting here like, why? Because I put so much energy into, I'm doing this because I don't want this. I'm doing this because I don't want that. And everything I said, it happened. Because that's where I put my energy. And that's where I learned, like, okay, wait, my words, I got to be careful. But I want you to wake up, see who you are, and become it. Again, I've said it before. Everything that you are right now. And so people like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to get this business. I'm going to do all this. Well, you already that. You're already a business owner. You're already a millionaire. Once you start walking in it, believe that you deserve it, that brings the different things that you need. And it may come at its own time, but along the journey, if you line up with what you're asking for, what you need is coming. The people, the resources, the money. Like, I believe that wholeheartedly. What you need will come. So enjoy the journey and watch it unfold. Your storytelling will determine your heart's desire for your life. And so I want to encourage you with a few things, just 6, and I'm going to leave you with this. Live limitless. There is nothing that you can't do. And so the first thing I want to talk about is always be willing to learn a new skill. I know everybody say, pick something and go with it. Well, I think you should forever be learning. You should forever be learning. You should never get to a point where you be like, oh, I'm good, I'm straight. Your beliefs create your reality. And so just be mindful of that. Think of how small we are in contrast to this huge world. Just think, we like ants, like specks. If you go to the satellite, to a star, to another planet, whatever, we like little specks, nothing, right? And we go through so much stuff. So just think about that. Why? There's so much world out here, so much to do, so much to learn, so much to see. Don't put all of your energy into negative things around you, negative people around you. Change the narrative, change your mind. You will literally change your life. And I put that on mine. I'm telling you, I'm saying. Happy should not be chased, but literally the life you set up. And so I already come in happy, honey. You ain't gotta rah-rah me up, okay? This is like planted immediately. And it don't even matter. I do this when stuff is going left because it's just a place of comfort. Like, I know that it's all gonna work out no matter what. It's crazy right now. Yeah, it may be crazy, but it's all gonna work out. And my faith in that has gotten me through mentally not staying in places and woe is me days and all. Like, no, that don't mean it's not the reality. I don't want people to get me misconstrued. It doesn't mean your reality it may not be messed up, because it may be. But if you can't do nothing about it, you have to know that everything's going to work out by doing whatever it is you have control over to do and doing it. We have to be mindful of that power. It's not to say, well, it's stuff going on in my life. I get it. It may be a lot going on in everybody's life. If I told you just the top 5 in my life right now, you'll be like, well, dang. Yeah, but I'm working through everything. And I'm learning day by day how to handle the different things that's thrown my way. And what I'm going to do? What am I going to do about it? Nothing. So that's how I keep that happy. I keep investing in the happy. And so invest in yourself and have clarity for what you want. It's nothing like just aimlessly being out here. Once you have some clarity about what you want, I believe things will conspire around you to bring what you need. I believe that God is just that faithful. You say you ready? You say that's what you want to do? Okay. Well, let's do it then. Well, I'm going to bring these things to you. You ready? So you got to make sure that you're ready for what you're praying for, and what you're asking for is very important. The last one is clear your mind constantly of negativity. And so it's very, very important that you understand you don't have to engage in every conversation. You don't have to engage in everything somebody say. That was another thing that I did that freed me. I stopped trying to take up for myself. That defensive spirit. Like, no, because I need to explain what really happened. For what? People going to think what they want, how they want, whatever. Like, you can't go around changing everybody's mind about you. It is what it is. All you can do is be true to yourself. Make sure you're following your dreams. Make sure you're loving your neighbor like you love yourself. Keep giving and receiving. It's really that simple. I think we make it a little bit more difficult than it has to be. But just think about that. Clear your mind constantly. So soon as something come in your mind, nope. Cast down every imagination that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Nope. I don't like it. I'm not doing it. That's what I do. Because if I feel it, I'm like, nope. I don't like it. I'm not entertaining that. And it's really that simple. And I think about something else that makes me feel good. That's how much power and control that we have. We got it. You got it. I want you to be encouraged in that. And I want to leave you with this. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true. We got a caller. Hi, welcome to Creative Emotions. Who am I speaking with?
Chef Wilson.
Hi, Chef. How are you?
Oh, good. Man, you hitting everything, Q. And I had to. How you feeling today, anyway?
I am awesome and amazing. I'm feeling great.
That's good to hear. And then always, I got to call in because you were hitting on something I need to go back on.
Yeah.
Where you were saying about giving something too much energy because of the vision you had for it, and it ended up going the direction you didn't want it to go. And I agree with that 100% because I did that myself. And what happens for those who know what it looks like, you're so busy putting so much energy into it that you ignore all the red flags.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Because you want to see the outcome.
You want to see the outcome. And I agree with you 100%. So anybody listening, you said something about least resistant and not chasing happiness. Because the last thing I remember watching on the Nature Channel, anything that's being chased don't want to be caught.
That part. If you running, what's going on?
I've seen Apollos running from lions. They didn't want to get caught. So that's another red flag. If you have to chase happiness, maybe you're running in the wrong direction. Maybe that's not happiness that you're chasing.
Yeah, that's real.
You're right. If you're chasing it, that's not happiness. But I just wanted to share that with people. And as usual, I mean, you're saying a lot of things, and I don't know if people really realize how powerful this is.
Yeah.
And how
it's
simple.
It's for a certain group. It's okay.
Yeah. How simple this can happen, right?
Yes.
So you guys take notes on this, because it may be wanting to be a father, a husband, that relationship for your kids.
Yes.
It's going to look so different for everyone. You have to put that much energy into it and not pay attention to what's being whispered in your ear by God. Things are going to usually turn out the way you did not want them to be.
That's true. If you give over your power, that is true.
If you give over your power of common sense, discernment, you give all that over, hey. But anyway, I'm still at work. I go.
Okay, get that money then. Thank you.
You already know.
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you. And I was letting everybody know next week, Men's Edition will be here talking about grief and how men handle it. That's going to be huge.
You guys tune in for that show. You're going to hear real men talk about how we dealt with tragedies in life.
Yes.
And I mean, we're going to be speaking from life experiences, and we're not going to candy code anything. You know, we're going to tell it outside of embarrassment.
Yes, that's so good. That's that transparency. Well, thank you so much, Fred.
Okay.
And you have a great evening.
Okay, you do the same.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
I mean, chef. My bad. That is awesome and amazing. So glad. Thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to everybody who tuned in, everybody who watched. If this is your first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you've been here, make sure you hit that like and share with your family and friends. I hope that this message touched and reached who it was supposed to. Because the way this came on my spirit, honey, storytelling, yeah, it's for somebody. And I just appreciate the Holy Spirit and the vision that I get and the love and the heart that I have for God's people. I'm just so appreciative and so grateful for it. And so again, I want to leave you guys with Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. And so I want you to be mindful of the conversations that you have going forward from this day forward, and think about, am I sowing seeds? Am I sowing negative seeds? Am I talking about people? Am I sending love? Am I sending curses? What am I doing with my words? What am I doing telling this story? Is this story conducive to the person that I've become? Think about this. Storytelling. How is it helping? What is the purpose? And you have to see, how does it make me feel? Because that's the most important thing. I pray that you're living on the path of least resistance, and that you see the miracle signs and wonders that are all about you every day, all day. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heart open. Don't forget to get your book. Guess what? I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.